It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
Welcome to the show. If you have a sense of humor, you just have to love April Fool's Day, and there were some pretty funny pranks pulled on us this year. My favorite, the new product announcement from Berkley Fishing about their truly innovative Power Bait Noodling Glove. Made with catfish noodlers in mind, the wearable, scented glove catches not only catfish, but other species too. Bass Pro John Cox uses it to catch bass, and his favorite colored glove to use? Well, that would be green pumpkin, of course. If you don't believe me, check out the great video Berkley Fishing put together about the Power Bait Noodling Glove on YouTube. Well done, Berkley. That was a great April Fool's Day announcement. This week on America Outdoors Radio, we'll be talking to Jared Higginbotham with Yakima Bait out of Granger, Washington in just a minute. Yakima Bait has been around for a long time, and they've got one of the most popular lures in their lineup. It's the flatfish. If you're a trout angler, you have probably fished this, and they've got some other trout plugs too, to include the maglip and the spinfish. Normally known for salmon fishing, the company's recently downsized them so you can use them for trout too, and Jared will tell you all about this. April is Missouri's Outdoors Month, and Jill Pritchard with the Missouri Department of Conservation invites you to visit the Show Me State, and will tell you about all sorts of things you can do this month, ranging from turkey hunting to fishing to bird watching and foraging for mushrooms. Another place worth visiting right now and well into the summer would be Lake Martin. Known as Alabama's freshwater coast, this big lake is a great bass fishing destination, but there's another reason to go here as well. That's because 200 bass have been released into this lake with tags on them. Catch one of them, and you'll win at least $1,500. A couple of those tag fish will land you a brand new bass boat. One of them will land you a brand new Chevy Silverado, and one of those fish is worth $1 million. The event is called Crank for Bank, and Vivian Autry will tell you more about it. We'll also be joined by Brandy Hastings, the executive director of the Lake Martin Tourism Association, who will give you more reasons you should come to visit Lake Martin as well. In addition to this, we'll be talking to Brooks Hansen with Camp Chef. If you're like me, you love cooking outdoors, but sometimes you miss having an oven. Well, guess what? Camp Chef actually has ovens for you car campers, for those of you who live off the grid or maybe want something for emergency preparedness that have both the stovetop range and the traditional oven itself. 3 different models plus a pizza oven on top of that. Brooks will tell you all about them and some accessories you'll definitely want to have to go with these propane-fueled ovens. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we've got Jared Higginbotham on the line. He's with the Yakima Bait Company out of Washington. And I'm going to say one word. You can know exactly what this company is known for. That would be rooster tail. Well, they're also known for another lure. That would be the flatfish. And I'm guessing just about all of you listening today who fish for trout have fished the rooster tail and the flatfish, but they've got a lot more than that for trout. Jared, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be on, man. Glad to be on.
Let's talk a little bit about plugs for trout, and I was thinking we could start off with the venerable flatfish. A good friend of mine named Keith Kellogg, he and I would go up to a place called Clear Lake near my hometown of Wenatchee, Washington, and I would fish from the bank, usually plunking some power bait, and he would always be out in a rowboat. He was always trolling an F7 flatfish, frog-colored, and every time he cleaned up like nobody's business. That flatfish, that works for trout, doesn't it?
That flatfish is ideal for trout, especially, those early morning situations, because it's a shallow diving lure, and you can slow trail that lure down to, half a mile an hour all the way up to 2 miles an hour. And it gets down to that 4 to, 7, 8 foot section of that water column, which is perfect for those early morning trout. And the frog color, by the way, is the number 1 color in the F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, F7, and the T55, T60, for the larger lake trout too. So yeah, that frog color has been pretty popular for a long time.
How long has the flatfish been around now?
I've read different articles, and Charles Heelan developed it in somewhere in the Midwest, and I think it was around either the 20s or 30s. I mean, it's been around a long time.
Well, let's talk about a lure that looks a little bit like a flatfish, but it's mainly known for salmon until very recently, the Mag-Lip. Tell our listeners about the Mag-Lip for salmon and the new Mag-Lip for trout.
Well, the Mag-Lip is another tool for your toolbox, so to speak. You can't build a house with just one hammer. So that's kind of how we looked at it. And the Mag-Lip is a different animal. It's a deeper diving plug, unlike the flatfish. It has rattles, unlike the flatfish. And it has a skip beat action, unlike the flatfish. And so they're really two different tools, but used for a very similar presentation. And the Mag-Lip is a unique animal. That skip beat action is kind of like, teasing a cat with a ball of string. The way that works is, it just creates these bites. And these bites are just so much more vicious. I've fished the trout, in a drift boat, back rowing Mag-Lip. I fished them in, lakes, forward trolling, and about everywhere. And I got people that cast them and retrieve them and do well on them. And it's just a different animal. And the reaction you get out of them, especially trout and salmon both, is great. And we've got them all the way from a 2-inch size up to a 5-inch size. And that 2, 2.5, and 3-inch are money for trout. Money. So just something that you really need to try. I mean, like I tell everybody, they're like, how do you fish a Mag-Lip? And I say, just add water. I mean, that's pretty much as simple as it gets, buddy.
I love that. What's the most popular color for trout when it comes to the Mag-Lip?
For me, my very favorite fish catcher always is the metallic gold flame. So the metallic gold flame is a great one. Misty River, which is a pink one, is a great one. And, of course, we have the frog and bleeding frog, which those ones are classics. But generally, if I'm fishing any trout type stream or lake, reservoir, pond, planters, wild ones, whatever, river, I fish, I'll have one gold one and one silver one out. And, within a few minutes or, an hour or so, I can tell which one they want. And a lot of that really depends on the weather outside. If it's really overcast, I like the gold. If it's really bright and sunny, I like the nickel or chrome. And that's just kind of been my pattern for years. I mean, even with the flatfish, I used to take an F5 in gold and an F5 in chrome, and I would take a red marker and I'd put red dot eyes underneath both of them, and one of them would be the hot lure for the day. So it's pretty simple.
Interesting. All right. One more plug to talk about. Again, this one I think most people think of as a salmon lure, but you've recently downsized it for trout, the Spinfish.
The Spinfish, yeah, the new one, man. So this is a way to combine, bait and lure in one swoop, right? And so it breaks apart in the middle. It looks like a flatfish, but it breaks apart in the middle. You can stuff your favorite bait in there, whether that be salmon roe or night crawlers or tuna fish or corn or whatever, and it just goes right back together. It looks like a flatfish, but it spins on your leader like a herring or an anchovy or, fishing some sort of bait. And so it creates this action, this vibration, and this scent trail in the water that, trout love all those things. Fish do a few things, right? Sight, scent, sound. I mean, that's really how they feed. And this thing covers all three of those, sight, scent, and sound. So that's just now hitting the trout world. And that 2-inch and 2.5-inch size are great trolled just by themselves with an inline triangle flasher like a small fish flash with any type of dodger. We ran them on downriggers, pointer boards, you name it, lead line, the whole deal. And it's a really neat lure. It's very, very, very effective. And not only do the 2 and 2.5 catch trout, but I fish those a lot for salmon as well. And so it's kind of one of those lures that jumps over both sides of the border.
I'll tell you what, I often think I have the best job in the world, but sometimes I think you do because you get to test out all these new products and figure out what works and what doesn't. It's a great excuse to go fishing, isn't it?
It is, man, and it's one of the coolest things ever. And the coolest part for me is I've always wanted to do the lure design thing since I was a little kid. Since I watched Bill Dance and all these guys do it, I was like, that's the job I want. Somehow I got it. But the coolest part to me is seeing that grandpa and that grandson or that father-son or the first-time fisherman post their picture on Facebook or whatever, and they're like, I caught this on a Spinfish, or I caught this on a Mag-Lip. And, knowing that I worked with one of the greatest humans on the planet ever for fishing with Buzz Ramsey, and he taught me how to design all these things, and I got to work through those projects with him, it's just the coolest reward ever, because the coolest reward for my job is purely education. Purely the teaching aspect of my job and bringing people into doing what I love and being successful at it is the coolest reward I get every day. The paycheck is great, but no one gets into fishing to get rich.
You are so right about that.
Right.
All right. We have got to go, but folks, if you want to find out more about trout fishing, go to YakimaBait.com. They've got lots of information about their lures and how to fish them. And look for the flatfish, look for the Mag-Lip, and look for the Spinfish, whether you're after trout or salmon, at a quality sporting goods store near you. And these trout ones in particular are hitting the shelves any day now. Jared, thanks so much for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, my friend. It was a pleasure being here.
Game-changing. That's the best way to describe the new Scent Flash UV Triangle Flasher from Max Lure Company. This 360-degree rotational inline flasher features a scent release system attracting salmon to the lure behind it like no other flasher on the market. Soak the free scent pad with any type of oil or gel, or load up the cavity with any type of bait for fishing success beyond your wildest dreams. It's the Scent Flash UV Triangle Flasher, only from Max Lure Company.
Why book at Sportsman's Cove Lodge?
Why is Alaska like no other place on Earth? It hasn't changed in thousands of years.
From the way you get here on a float plane to the way you go out with the guides and the boats, it's just a professional experience.
And I said, this is as good as it gets. I said, if you can't catch fish here, you can't catch fish anywhere.
Your experience with us will leave you speechless.
Book now at alaskasbestlodge.com.
Ready to step up to a quality-built rifle or shotgun that's a true classic? Check out Henry Repeating Arms. American-made. There's over 150 models to choose from in a variety of finishes and calibers for hunters and target shooters. Many of these are lever-action models with a classic look right out of the Old West. Don't be deceived, though. Henry Repeating Arms are modern, rugged, reliable, and have a lifetime guarantee. Find out more and order a free catalog today at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com.
Country hunters and anglers. You may have heard of us, but what are we about? BHA is the voice for your wild public lands, waters, and wildlife. From national level policy work to boots on the ground projects like public land cleanups, we work across North America to uphold the legacy of our public lands and waters, as well as your opportunity to hunt, fish, and recreate on them. Stand up for public lands and waters and become a BHA member today. Visit backcountryhunters.org.
I fish lots of lakes, I fish them all year round. Oh, I fish lots of lakes, everywhere I'm bound.
You're back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. Our next stop is Lake Martin in Alabama. It's not too far from Montgomery. It's a huge lake, so huge they actually call it Alabama's freshwater coast. And with us here to tell you more about this wonderful place and a really cool event taking place there where you can potentially catch a fish worth $1 million is Brandy Hastings with the Lake Martin Tourism Association and Vivian Autry with OGS Tournaments. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Hey, John. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
So, Brandy, we're going to start with you since you're the executive director of the Lake Martin Tourism Association. Exactly where is Lake Martin? How big is Lake Martin? And why do folks come to visit?
Lake Martin is in central East Alabama. We're about 2 hours away from Atlanta, about an hour and a half away from Birmingham. So for those flying in, those are both great destinations to fly into to make your way here. We're not too far from Auburn, and we are situated, like I said, in central East Alabama, and we have the most beautiful lake. I mean, I might be a little biased, but in my opinion, I think we have the most beautiful lake in the world. Lake Martin is huge. It's almost 900 miles of shoreline, 40,000 acres, and it actually reaches 3 counties in Alabama. It's huge. And we have a special distinction. We are the only lake in Alabama to be designated a treasured Alabama lake. So that's pretty cool. We have amazing water quality. That's how we got that designation. So we're a great lake for, of course, recreation, skiing, wakeboarding, just boating, but definitely fishing as well. We've got largemouth bass, spotted, striped bass is big in our area too. Of course, crappie, catfish. So there's lots of fishing that happens on the lake. And the lake as a whole is just a ton of fun. So just making your way around the lake we have a lot of different islands in the lake. Like we've got one in the lake that fits someone. We don't really know who, but they've decorated it like with a pirate theme. We call it Pirate Island. So that's a cool stop off. We've got our Cheeseburger Island, different places that could stop and just hang out. Put your raft out and just kind of hang out for the day. And then lots of little great places around the lake. You can boat up and have brunch. So there's a lot of fun happening on the water. And then off the water too, We have some really great hiking. You know, we've got a lot of great land activities that happen as well. So on the water and off the water fun here and at Lake Martin. And I mean, like I said, to me, I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Well, I'll tell you what, with places like Cheeseburger Island and Pirate Island, it sounds like a place that Jimmy Buffett would certainly love. Let's turn our attention to the $1 million fish that is swimming around in Lake Martin or Lake Wheeler right now. Vivian, why don't you tell us about this?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So we call it Crank for Bank, cute little name. This is our third year on Lake Martin, first year on Wheeler Lake. But on Lake Martin, we tag 200 fish, and they can be largemouth or spotted bass. This year, the tag is orange. We have an Auburn fishery student come in and tag them so that it's all nice and safe. And we tag these fish, and one of the fish is worth $1 million. One's worth a Skeeter bass boat. One's worth a Bass Cat bass boat. One's worth a Chevrolet pickup truck. And then if you don't catch any one of those grand prizes, they're still worth $1,500. So lots of fun out there with trying to catch that $1 million fish or just any of the fish, honestly. I had somebody tell me yesterday they took the whole week of spring break off and they're staying at Lake Martin just to try to catch that $1 million fish. It's a 13-week program. It's from April 1st through July the 4th. So we're trying to get anybody that's coming to the lake have a chance to get in there and win. It costs $100 to register. You must be registered to win. Obviously, you got to be registered 2 hours before catch that tagged fish, and you can register all the way up to whenever you're coming to town. If you're coming in on July 1st, you can still register. Last year, just to kind of give you an idea, a lot of times people, like Randy just said, it's over 40,000 acres. So some people are like, oh, there's no way I'm going to catch a tagged fish. Not true, not true. So we had 16 legal fish caught last year. That meant they were registered and did all the requirements, which is catch it with a fishing pole and all the things that you're required to do. 16 of those. One of those happens to be the Skeeter bass boat. And it was a great story. Probably the most well-deserved man in the world won that fish, and just heartwarming to hear him and how excited and how grateful he was. The rest of the folks, they won $1,500 each. You can catch more than one. We had a person win, two people actually. We had one that caught 2 and one that caught 3. Now they fished all the time, so that's the key there. One more thing about the event, Crank for Bank, is that you can do a virtual tournament included in the $100. And some people are like, what's a virtual tournament? So we figured to make it more fun, we did this last year, is you're going to be catching a whole lot of non-tagged fish as you're trying to catch that tagged fish. So what we did is we partnered up with Fishing Chaos. They're our engine. That's the app that we use to run this thing. And you take a picture of the length of your fish on a bump board, and your top 5 fish will cull up in the system, and we'll give prizes to the biggest bass each week. We give random prizes just for submitting the fish, and then we give a first, second, and third place and a big fish overall winner for virtual prizes. And when I tell you these are great prizes, these are great prizes. They're sponsored by like Johnson Outdoors, Realtree Fishing, Frog Talk, Tackle Direct. So these are great prizes for the virtual tournament as well.
Wow. Sounds fantastic. What's the website where folks register?
Crankforbank.com. And so it's crank with the number 4 bank.com.
That's easy enough to remember, folks. Crankforbank.com. Boy, oh boy, if you're heading to Lake Martin, you definitely want to register for this event. This sounds fantastic. And one other thing I want to mention here, I understand some of the proceeds from this event, Vivian, are going to a pretty good cause.
Absolutely. So we are all about the young anglers. Fishing in general is a great sport, gets people outside, and you got to teach these kids from a young age to get out there and do things right. And so we help the high school fishing teams really around. We've got, I think, 9 schools involved. And basically, they give out a card, and it has a number on it. So when you register, you would put their number in there, and they get $10 per ticket sold. And just to give you an idea, one of the schools last year, one of the local high schools around here last year, they were able to send all of their students, their team members, to the state finals and pay for their hotel room without having to ask those parents to come out of pocket. So big time moneymaker fundraiser for these high schools. And trust me, these kids say this is the easiest fundraiser they have because they believe in it. They love fishing. They're going to buy one themselves. They're going to hand out these cards and get these people to register with their number.
Oh, I think that's absolutely fantastic. All right, we are running short on time, but back to you, Brandy. If folks want to find out more about planning a visit to Alabama's freshwater coast, Lake Martin, and participating in this $1 million fish event, where the website for that one, folks, again, is crank4bank.com. What's the website we need to send folks to, Brandy?
For our website, for learning all about all the great things at Lake Martin, it's explorelakemartin.com.
All right, that's explorelakemartin.com. You've literally got a million reasons to come to Lake Martin this spring and summer, not to mention the chance to win a bass boat or $1,500 and just have a great time fishing for bass and all sorts of other species while you're at it. Again, explorelakemartin.com and crankforbank.com. Make plans to visit Lake Martin, Alabama today. Ladies, thanks so much for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
Look at the woods, oh, I fish everywhere.
We've been telling you about Sportsman's Cove Lodge in Southeast Alaska for a while now. They're truly Alaska's best lodge. Wildlife is abundant, from bears and deer to eagles and whales, and let's not forget the reason you're here, the fishing. Halibut, salmon, lingcod, rockfish, true cod, and more. It's all waiting for you in abundance at Sportsman's Cove Lodge. Book your trip today at alaskasbestlodge.com. That's alaskasbestlodge.com for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
Come explore the Dalles in Oregon for outdoors fun. Hike amongst the wildflowers, bike our riverfront trail, or visit the Gorge Discovery Center where you can enjoy a live raptor display, or even check out our National Neon Sign Museum. But don't forget the fishing. We've got salmon, steelhead, bass, walleye, and monster-sized sturgeon waiting just for you. When the day is done, tell those tall tales at one of our wineries, breweries, or restaurants and plan your next adventure. Find out more at explorethedalles.com.
You're back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We've got Brooks Hansen on the line. He is the PR man for Camp Chef, and they are the company that makes all those great stoves and grills and everything else you need to cook, whether you're camping or cooking out on the patio. Brooks, it's great to have you back on the air again.
Hey, John, it's good to be here.
So I thought today we would talk about some products that I don't think get a whole lot of press that you have, your outdoor ovens. Why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about them and why they would want to buy one?
That's a good point, John. So we've got 3 outdoor ovens. Works just like your traditional oven. They've got 2 burners on the top. The cool thing about the oven is they've got an insulated wall. They run on a small 1-pound propane tank, and they're portable. You can take them anywhere. So if you're at the campsite and want to bake bread, you want to bake a pizza, you want to bake cookies, brownies, I don't care what it is, cinnamon rolls, you can do it. It's pretty incredible. So we do have 3 different models. We've got our standard outdoor oven, which has high, low, and medium, and it's got a temperature gauge there, so you've kind of got to monitor that temperature. So if let's say you're warm outside, you're probably not going to need to be high to keep it to 350, 400 degrees.
Well, before we get into the details about the 3 different models, let's talk about who would want to buy these. So you just kind of hit on one, and that would be the car camper that's going to the state park or county park or National Park Service campground. But I'm thinking if you live off the grid, this would be a great item to have, this propane-fueled outdoors oven.
I can't tell you how many people purchase these for their hunt camps, where they don't have power, electricity, they've got a cabin out in the woods, or they set up a wall tent and leave it at hunt camp all year. This is like having the amenities at home. So you're exactly right. We've got the campers that go off-grid, like the overlanders really like the oven. You've got the car campers that just want to go out and camp with their family. And then you've got the people that live completely remote and off-grid. They're also awesome for emergency preparedness. Yeah, you lose the electricity, you've got an oven.
All right. So those are all reasons why you want to buy an outdoors oven. Now, let's go into the details. So the basic outdoors oven, the one that's been around for, I think about 10 years now, you were describing that, and the price point on that, the MSRP is $329. In addition to everything else you mentioned about it, this is great to bring out let's say your first night of car camping, let's say you've got like a frozen lasagna or a casserole. You can pop it right in there and eat just like you would at home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you grab a frozen lasagna, throw it in your cooler, and that first night at camp, you want to have lasagna, there you go. I mean, it works just like your standard oven that you have in your house.
Let's talk about the deluxe model and how that differs from the basic outdoor oven.
So the deluxe model just basically went through a little bit of a cosmetic upgrade. It's got a little different handle. It's got different burn knobs, and that realistically it's cosmetically a little better. Functionality, it's the same as the other oven.
Now, both the deluxe model and the basic outdoor oven, they both have carry handles too, so really easy to transport from place to place. How much do they weigh?
I don't know the exact weight off the top of my head on the oven. I want to say they're probably right around 12 pounds.
All right. Really easy to put on the picnic table or wherever else you want to put it for some cooking then. Let's get to the Pro Outdoor Oven because this one does have some differences.
Yeah, now this is the one where you step up a few notches. The reason it's our Pro is it actually has a thermostatic heat control on it, which is just like your oven at home, so you're not regulating the temperature between low, medium, and high. This one actually has, like I said, the thermostatic coupler, which will regulate the heat exactly what you set it at. So you turn the knob to 350, it's going to hold temp right at 350. You pull it to 225, 400, same. So that's a really cool feature in that oven because now there's no guesswork. It's just turn it to the temp, walk away. Once you smell your cinnamon rolls, you can start eating.
Oh, that sounds just perfect. Now, the max temp on all of these ovens is 400, isn't it?
Yeah, right at 400. Now, it could give or take a few, depending on how hot it is outside, and if you really wanted to crank it, you might get a little bit above that, but for the most part, you're going to be topping out at 400.
Okay, well, let's talk about some must-have accessories. Now, you've got a bread pan that is cast iron, and, it's kind of funny. I remember 20 years ago, everybody had a bread maker, was making bread. Don't see as many people doing that now.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the art of making bread kind of slowed down. We're starting to see it pick back up. I mean, people want to get out and find more ways to be creative in the campsite and creative at home cooking. And so the bread pan, yeah, that's a really cool item. It's built out of cast iron. It's a true seasoned cast iron, ready to cook right out of the box, and it's an awesome accessory to have with the oven.
Another accessory that you got to have, especially up top, is the griddle.
Yeah, the griddle's a really good feature because when you take that oven, it's not only an oven, you've got a cooktop surface. So whether you're using a griddle or a cast iron skillet, you can, saute some vegetables, you can boil some water, but you take that griddle, now you're making a pancake breakfast in the morning and cinnamon rolls in the oven.
Oh, you're killing me.
All at the same time. All at the same time.
And you've even got something called a Scoochie. What the heck is that?
The Skookie. So that's a cookie pan. So it's just a small little flat rimmed cast iron skillet. And it's basically made, you can make little pizzas in it, but it was really designed around cookie. You put cookie dough in there, throw that in the oven, bake yourself a 7-inch cookie, something for the whole family. One big cast iron skillet cookie. So that's where the Skookie comes from, the skillet cookie.
Well, you better be getting lots of exercise when you're out of the outdoors, folks, especially if you're going to have the outdoors oven, because as you just heard, you'll be able to cook all sorts of high-carb stuff you're going to need to work off. One other oven we need to talk about, it's completely different from all this. Camp Chef actually has a pizza oven.
Yeah, we do. We've got an outdoor pizza oven. We've got the accessories that mount on your standard stove, like your Explorer stove or Pro Series stove, but then we have a standalone pizza oven. The Artisan Pizza Oven's awesome. It gets up to around 900 degrees. It's got a quarterite ceramic stone for cooking on. It's got a dual wall heat deflector on the interior where it pushes the heat around the edges and then right down so it can help cook the pizza from the top down, and then the ceramic stone's cooking from the bottom up. It's designed exactly right after the wood-fired pizza ovens. And once you get that sucker cranking and you get your dough figured out, you're going to be cranking out pizzas in 3 to 4 minutes.
Oh, and best of all, because, it's your own pizza, you can literally put anything on that pizza that you want to.
Or nothing on it. Just kidding. You can put whatever you'd like on it. I've made lots of pizzas for people, and I'm surprised with the choices that some people have. But we'll leave that for another discussion.
I don't know. We do have about a minute left. I would love to hear the most unique pizza you've ever made for somebody with the Camp Chef pizza oven.
The most unique pizza, which was really good, shrimp, avocado, basil, and mozzarella cheese.
That actually sounds very tasty. I might have to try that one out.
Really good, with a white cream sauce.
Oh, all right, folks. Well, there you go. Ovens from Camp Chef. They're not just about grills. They're not just about smokers. They're not just about stoves. They've got outdoor ovens that you can use. Again, whether you're camping, whether you've got a place off the grid, or whether you want one for emergency preparedness, you can eat like a king, eating pizza, eating pretty much anything you would make on your stove at home. It's all available from Camp Chef. Go to campchef.com to find out more. That's campchef.com. And you can also find these products in quality sporting goods stores and other stores all over the country. Campchef.com, that's your first stop. Your next stop is a retailer near you. Brooks, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks, John.
This portion of the show is brought to you by our friends at WorkSharp. And if you're making dinner, you know that you need a sharp knife. Whether you are filleting some fish, whether you are chopping up some vegetables, or whether you're cutting up some meat to go ahead and put on the grill, or maybe something into that outdoors oven we just talked about, a sharp knife helps you be successful in the kitchen. And WorkSharp just happens to have a whole line of knife sharpeners, especially for the kitchen and for the backyard griller. You can find them at WorkSharpTools.com. Just go to WorkSharpTools.com. Check out the line of knife and tool sharpeners available from WorkSharp, both powered knife sharpeners and manual knife sharpeners that will help you in the kitchen, help you in the field, and help you anywhere else you need a sharp knife or tool. The website again, WorkSharpTools.com.
In today's news, I'm cooking a brisket. Let's go to Jill at my house to see how it's going.
This is your house and you brought me and the crew to check on your brisket?
That's correct, Jill. How's it looking?
This is a Camp Chef Woodwind Wi-Fi. You know you can check your cook right from your phone, right?
I didn't know that was an option, Jill. Well, never mind. But before you leave, can you feed the dog?
What? No.
When we get back, why is my check engine light on? The answer may shock me.
Hunting and fishing are exercises in hope. Before you head into the woods, you hope to tag out on a deer you'll have to field dress. Before you make that first cast, you hope for a big fish to clean and fillet. When your hopes are realized, you'll need a sharp knife. Whether you sharpen that blade on a power sharpener in the shop or a manual sharpener in the field, WorkSharp has the tool for you. Look for WorkSharp products in sporting goods stores near you or online at WorkSharpTools.com.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstances, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the darkest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference. That's huntofalifetime.org.
Mike Lindell, the inventor and CEO of MyPillow, wants to give you even more incredible savings during the bedding sale. 50% off comforters, quilts, blankets. You know that 2-inch mattress topper? 50% off sheets and sleepwear. All you have to do is go to MyPillow.com, scroll down. You'll see on the left side a box that says Radio Listener Special. You click on that, and then you see even more specials, in addition to the ones I just mentioned. Make sure you enter promo code KEN. That's my name, K-E-N, Ken. You don't have to mention my full name, Ken Matthews, but just put Ken in there. Plus, there's an overstock sale on couch pillows, not couch potatoes, pillows, individual towels, select pillow pillowcases, you could get a full body pillow. That's for your entire body for only $39.99. More great savings from MyPillow.com. Made in America, luxurious, quality. Check it out at MyPillow.com. Promo code KEN.
Next up on America Outdoors Radio, April is Missouri Outdoors Month, and there's a lot to do in the Show Me State. I'll tell you what, with us here to give you a few ideas of what you can do outside right now is Jill Pritchard with the Missouri Department of Conservation. Jill, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Well, let's start things off with turkey hunting. That is a big thing in Missouri. It kicks off April 18th, runs through May 8th. This might be one of the most popular hunting seasons you have in Missouri.
It truly is. We have a spring turkey hunting season and a fall turkey hunting. Very popular. Yeah, it's a great way for people to get outside and kind of shake off the post-winter blues and get back into nature and hopefully put some food on the table as well. You can visit our website at mdc.mo.gov to get your turkey hunting permit, to find places to turkey hunt, and of course to get more information on our regulations from our 2022 spring turkey hunting regulations booklet.
Let's swing from hunting to fishing. Paddlefish season is here. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about the paddlefish, a real prehistoric looking fish, and how you go about fishing for them?
Paddlefish are a very prehistoric-looking fish. Yeah, they get to be over 100 pounds sometimes. We actually just had one fisherman snag a 140-pound paddlefish. That is the biggest paddlefish caught in Missouri so far. It was a state record. And they're really great table fare, too. People like to fry them. They like to grill them. They make great tacos. And one way that you have to catch them is because they're bottom feeders. You have to put out these huge snags and just kind of be on your boat and drive slowly and kind of snag up from the bottom. And that's how you catch these paddlefish. And so paddlefish season runs through April 30th in Missouri, and popular snagging waters are the Lake of the Ozarks, our Harry S. Truman Reservoir, and of course Table Rock Lake here in Missouri. But you know, if paddlefish really aren't your thing, they do get pretty big. There's also much smaller species that are really good. Crappie is a big fish species to fish for here in Missouri in the springtime. It's still trout season, so you can catch and keep trout right now as well. And you know, anytime you go out fishing, it's always going to be a good time, even if you're not successful. You're still getting a nature boost, so to speak.
Now, in Missouri, you actually have state parks that have trout that are stocked in them, and you pay an extra fee to go after those, don't you?
Yes. In addition to your fishing permit, you have to have a $5 trout tag, your daily trout tag, that allows you to fish in one of the 5 trout parks in Missouri.
And folks, the crappie fishing in Missouri, not to mention the bass fishing, can be very, very good. So definitely a couple of great things to do if you're a hunter or a fisher person in Missouri. But wait, there's more. Bird watching too. I don't think most folks think of that when it comes to Missouri, but you know, this is a great time of year to break binoculars and the guidebook and go out looking for birds.
It really is, just because it's that spring migratory season. We have a lot of birds kind of flying over the state, coming back in to breed, especially waterfowl. Many people don't think of bird watching with waterfowl, but that can be a really spectacular thing to enjoy. And one of the great things about bird watching is that you really don't have to travel far for it. You can bird watch in your own backyard. You know, it's going to be spring, so we're going to see those really fun ruby-throated hummingbirds, so you can start getting your feeders out. You can put out nesting boxes for bluebirds. We're going to have purple martins coming in. It's a really great time to just kind of listen, you know, brush up on your bird identification and see what you can discover in your own backyard or in your own green spaces in your neighborhood.
All right, Jill, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your favorite bird to watch for?
You know, many people think that these are the bullies of the bird world, but I love watching blue jays. They're really easy to identify because they are a bigger bird, and I just really like hearing them. I think their calls are really cool, and anytime that they come to my bird feeders, I'm just always amazed. I have to stop and watch them for a long time.
You have Stellar's blue jays out there, or just the regular blue jays?
Just the regular blue jays, yeah.
Yeah, they are a lot of fun. I have to admit, I kind of like blue jays myself. One more thing we need to talk about here, and it's another hunting opportunity, but what you're hunting here doesn't move very fast. Wild mushrooms.
Yes, spring is a great time for looking for wild mushrooms. And I love this activity, similar to bird watching. It can be accessible to a lot of different people. And you can just go in your nearby woodlands to nearby conservation areas or state parks and look for mushrooms, specifically one that is very popular, the very coveted morel mushroom. I have been looking for morels every spring season for the past few years. Still haven't found one, but I'm not giving up hope. Yeah, they are very tricky to find. But in addition to morels, we also have chanterelles. There's a bunch of different edible mushrooms that you can look for in the springtime season. And so it's a great way to just go out on a hike and, happen to look at decaying oak trees and things like that. That's where you can find them. And they pop up this time of year because we're getting into warmer days and then cooler nighttime. So that temperature difference there is really kind of what helps them grow. And so if you can look for morels around decaying wood, fallen down oak trees in your nearby woodlands, that's really the type of habitat that you're looking for these very tasty mushrooms. So that's another great thing that you can do to get outside and discover nature in the springtime.
Well, I can see why April is Missouri's Outdoors Month. Between foraging for mushrooms and bird watching and fishing for paddlefish or trout or bass or crappie, and of course, spring turkey hunting, there is a lot to do in the Show Me State. What is the website where folks can go to find out more?
They can go to mdc.mo.gov.
That's Jill Pritchard, folks. She's with the Missouri Department of Conservation. Jill, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John. You have a great day.
Well, as you just heard from Jill, turkey hunting is a big deal in Missouri. It's a big deal in quite a few of our United States. And if you're in the market for a new turkey hunting shotgun, check out henryusa.com and check out the single-shot turkey camo shotgun. It is a beautiful break-action single-shot shotgun that is made by Henry Repeating Arms. It's got a fantastic camo design on it. It's got a high-vis sight, which I think is really useful for shooting turkeys in low-light situations, which you're going to encounter. That's when those birds are coming off the roost. And it comes as a 12-gauge, which is just perfect for bagging a gobbler. Like all of Henry's firearms, this one is American-made. It is rugged, it's reliable, it has a lifetime satisfaction guarantee, and it's accurate right out of the box. Check it out online at henryusa.com. Find a dealer near you. If you have any questions, just contact the award-winning customer service staff. They will answer any questions you have and get you pointed in the right direction so you can get one of these fine shotguns for turkey season this year.
It's time for the Trail of Shame.
Shame, shame on you. Shame, shame on you.
Stories of poachers, scoundrels, and other ne'er-do-wells, so if you see someone committing a criminal act on the water or in the field, turn them in. It's the right thing to do.
Here's a reminder that you should really do your homework before hiring a fishing guide. You want to make sure they are licensed, insured, and that they actually know what they're doing. A case in point comes to us from Louisiana, where Department of Wildlife and Fisheries enforcement agents cited 3 men for alleged charter guide regulation violations in March. Agents cited Jacques Laboureur of New Orleans on March 5th, Matthew Hines of Covington on March 19th, and Aaron Wilmoth, 24, of Belle Chase, on March 24th for failing to comply with charter boat regulations. Agents were on patrol in the Hopedale and Venice areas working charter fishing guides when all 3 men were stopped with paying customers on board their vessels. 2 of the men had not renewed their charter 6-pack licenses. That's a license that allows you to carry up to 6 clients at a time for 2022. The other individual, Hines, didn't possess any charter licenses and was not even licensed by the U.S. Coast Guard to take people on his vessel for hire. The Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and just about every other state, requires all charter captains to have a U.S. Coast Guard captain's license. And in Louisiana, you also need a state charter boat fishing guide license and proof of at least $300,000 liability insurance, all in their possession while on the water and fishing. All three of these individuals that were cited can be fined up to $950 and could spend up to 120 days in jail. So do your homework before going out on the water and make sure that the guide you're hiring for a day of fishing is legit.
Shame on you.
It's time to wrap things up, but as Jill alluded at, there's a whole lot going on, not just in Missouri, but all over the country. Whether you want to go fishing, whether you want to go turkey hunting, whether you want to forage for mushrooms, or maybe just do some wildlife watching, some spring hiking, or check out the wildflowers that are blooming, this is a great time to be outdoors. And I know I am this weekend. I'm actually fishing a big bass tournament, and I hope you'll wish me luck in that regard. I could certainly use it. Until next time, here's hoping that you are blessed, that you stay healthy, and that you find some time to spend in nature. After all, it is your country and you're outdoors, so get out there and enjoy it.